Whoa! Oh, you're already here. I didn't expect you here. What's up, you wonderful people, and welcome to today's video. First off, I want to welcome all of my new viewers. I didn't expect my last video to get that many clicks since my first two videos only got less than about 100 views. So welcome to my channel and let's enjoy making some content together. In today's video, we're going to work on the BMW. First off, we're going to do something I actually know how to do, and that is changing some light bulbs. As you can see, I've got some weird red light in my foot compartment. And that is something I don't like, because every time I get in a car, it reminds me of some adult gentleman entertainment club. So we're going to change it as the same color as the other side, and that is this LED light. I need to change out my rear roof light or reading light, and I'm going to change it just to a regular bulb since the LEDs are really bright and I actually like the warm light that these bulbs emit. So let's get on. So let's pop it out. Disconnect the connector somewhere. Don't want to break the connector. Here we go. There is some kind of weird aftermarket LED in here. One LED, it was already flickering, so that's a proof of quality. And here we've got the new module, which is easy. Plug and play. You can't even put the connector on the wrong side. And just pop it in. Done. So I'm gonna pop this off. The most important part about this bulb is you shouldn't touch it with your dirty fingers, since when you have grease on your fingers and you touch the glass, the life expectancy of this bulb goes down. It will burn out much quicker. So just take a paper towel or just take the plastic bag it comes with, put it around so you can put it in. And now just pop it in. Light it up, done. Get the cover back on. I have no idea how this gets back on. It's always a good sign when it clicks. Yes, so. Zack, zack. Hoe det goed. Klaar. Hoppa, naar huis. Next up, changing the power steering fluid. So first, check up the car. Huh? What are you doing? What? You said you need to get out of the car. No, I didn't say check up the car. I said check up the car. Oh, okay. To change out power steering fluid, as you can see, I need CHF 11S, which I bought some brand new bottles over there. And also we're going to change out the reservoir, since BMW has built in a filter inside of the reservoir, which you can change. So it makes sense to change out the whole reservoir. And the idea is to loosen up these clamps, get out the holes, so the fluid that comes out of the return line goes into a separate reservoir. So we can flush the whole system. Reservoir. Yeah. Let's loosen up the clamps and get to work. So I've put on some gloves, since you don't want power steering fluid on your skin. So now I've got this suction, and I'm going to suck out the old fluid out of the reservoir. Whee! This actually should be green, and it is brown. So it's really time to change. As with almost all BMW fluids, like the transmission fluid and the diff fluid, they say it's lifetime fluid, but you really should change some fluids over the time, since they get old. And yeah, it's just a small part of maintenance, you know? So first off, I sucked out the power steering fluid, so I don't make a mess when I move the reservoir, and I don't burn the car when it gets on the exhaust. Then I remove these hoses, and if you think that removing these hoses from the reservoir is an easy job, well, you're wrong. The return line actually got off quite easy, but the suction line I just couldn't get off. I actually had to cut it a little bit after the reservoir. But the good thing is, we don't measure performance by the length of the hose. After I moved the reservoir, I tried to flush the system. For that I put a tube into the suction line and a tube into the return line. The suction line I put in the bottle with the new fluid, and the return line I put into an old bottle so it can suck in the fluid. It pushed out the old fluid, but it didn't suck in new fluid. So I don't know what happened here, so it sucks that it didn't suck. Well, my main camera died, so I have to use the action cam now. Well, the job is done. It didn't quite go as I wanted it to. The suction method I wanted to use didn't really work. I don't know if the seal on the hose wasn't good enough or why it wasn't sucking any fluid in. But I just put in the new reservoir, filled it up, and just started the engine, turned the wheel a couple of times, pumped it out, and then filled it up, and then about 3 times. So I just think I'm going to drive it around, and after about 20 kilometers I'm just going to suck out the fluid again and fill it up with some fresh one, and then it should be enough. I also didn't use the BMW OE hose clamps since they were a pain to get on. I just decided to use some regular hose clamps, as you can see. So, up to the next task. So, now that we're done with the power steering fluid, we're going to change out the water pump and the thermostat. Since these are the original ones for about 90,000 miles ago, so we're going to just doing some preventive maintenance and change these out. So, first step, I already checked up the car. Next step is going to be to remove the airbox, and then the big plenum. You know, the big plenum that you need the bulk in your hood for. Yes, that's something we're going to remove, and I'll explain to you more on the way. So let's go. So we're going to remove this front air filter, or the air filter box. Then we're going to loosen up the expansion tank, the coolant expansion tank. Then we've got to remove the plenum, so we have to remove the coil covers on both sides, remove these hoses. There's one hose you need to remove, and on the back there's also a hose you've got to remove. And then we're almost there, connecting all these lines. But yeah, I will show you everything on the way. Got the car already checked up. This engine has 8 separate throttle bodies, so you have to unscrew 8 of these clamps around the inlets. The clamps are actually made so they don't move, and they are quite accessible, so you don't have to throw your tools against the wall when you try to remove the plenum. So now we remove the plenum. I know myself, put something in it so I don't drop stuff in there. My friend Marco is actually helping me. And now we're on to the thermostat. The repair manual says to loosen up the fuel line, but you can actually get away with just putting out this clamp, since this thing has a lot of play in it. Then we've got to loosen up these hoses, so the coolant hoses. Then we can remove the thermostat, and then we can go dig down here to remove the belt and the water pump. So let's get on with it.
Go.
tried to remove the water pump without spilling coolant, and guess what I did? I spilled coolant everywhere. But it wasn't much since we already drained the system and we put a little bucket underneath the car so it doesn't run all over the floor. So we've got the water pump out. The new thermostat is already out. I've already changed it with a new O-ring. As you can see, the old one is broken and old. It wouldn't sit properly, so good, we're changing that. And here's the new water pump. The old one is actually still good. We didn't need to change it, but while we're there, we're just going to change it. And I've also got some new O-rings for these, so everything seals properly. So now we're going to build it back into the car, and I'll show you everything. Also cleaned up some residue with a little bit of scotch, and now we're going to put everything back together. So let's go. We've all been there, dropping bolts in the engine bay. Well, I was so confident that I won't drop a bolt into the engine bay, so I screwed on the whole underchain of the car. And guess what I did next? Drop the bolt into the engine bay. So I had to unbolt the whole underchain of the car, search for the bolt until I found it. So yeah, that was a bit frustrating. Before we put back on the plenum, we're going to lubricate the throttle actuators. So, a big problem of the E92 and the E60 is that the throttle actuators go bad, which is two main reasons. One is they've got plastic gears inside, and second is the electronics. And the plastic gears break when there's it's just a problem of too less lubrication. So I'm just going to lubricate these bearings up here that activate the throttle actuators, so that activate the throttle bodies, and that should prevent worn out gears inside of the throttle actuators. Cool, that's it. So now let's build back the plenum. Scheiße.
Jetzt haben wir schon blöd, ha? Aber das ist nur die zwei Schrauben, das ist gut.
Aber der muss ich rausnehmen.
Fuck! Ja, das ist schon blöd.
So yesterday we finished up building everything back together, filled the reservoir up, and now we're going to bleed the system. For that we're going to run the engine, put on the cabin temperature on its highest setting and the ventilation on the lowest setting, and let it run for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we're going to open up the Entlüftungsschraube so all the excess air can exit through this screw. So let's go. system is flat, all the air is out, temperature doesn't rise, everything's good. We've changed the water pump, we've changed the thermostat, we've changed the power steering fluid, we changed the power steering reservoir, did a lot of preventative maintenance. Water pump actually looked quite good. The thermostat, as I showed you, the gasket was corroded, it fell apart. Power steering fluid is good, we changed it, it was all brown instead of green. So yeah, I hope you liked this episode, and I hope you like watching me wrench on this car. Please give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or subscribe to my channel to see more of this car. And also, please leave a comment if you saw me doing something wrong, or if you just got some suggestions what I should do next with the car, and I'll try to answer all of you. So yeah, see you in the next episode.